Welcome back to Straight to It. Arsenal are 3 games away from winning the Champions League. One more time. Arsenal, our club, are 3 games away from doing something we have never done before, winning the European Cup. All that separates us is 3 90-minute games of something we're very good at, football, one at our house, one in Paris, one in Munich. And we don't even need to win all 3. I, for one, did not see this coming even a fortnight ago. So, my beautiful knockers, as an alarming amount of you are keen to be called, let's talk about it. What it means and how we do it. Funny old game, football. This year has been so genuinely horrible at points. To be totally transparent, I have wondered why I bother. The stuff I've shouted at my TV before I come and sound reasonable on these videos. Put it this way, there's a reason I don't do watch-alongs. But as we head towards the final few game weeks, my frustration and anger at largely the Premier League has changed to apathy. I've done the angry bit, basically. I did care a few months ago, but I've done the grieving. And with how good all the UEFA competitions have been this season, how exciting the race for the European positions are, and how nothing of a title race it's been, it does feel like very few people outside of Merseyside are that bothered either. Another asterisk Premier League title. So sad. And better still, after a clinic over 2 legs against Madrid, with a potential Kai Havertz return on the cards before a UEFA Champions League final in his home country, Saka back fit, Martinelli firing again, our teenage hairlenders emerging, and more, it feels like all we need is a filthy, disgusting, despicable refereeing decision to crown us champions of Europe, for nature to finally be in balance and heal this dreadful season. Football is a funny game, because it's amazing how quickly things shift. In the space of a few weeks, this whole season, the players, the manager, the coaching staff, the board are being seen in an entirely new light. You could bemoan reactionary fans, tell everyone to be more level-headed. And you're probably right, Dad, but that's what makes football so good. The ups and downs, the ride. And that's currently playing out in the macro and the micro of Arsenal's 24-25. But it's potentially no better exemplified than with one man, our Polish Maldini, Jakub Kiwior. Kiwior hasn't evolved like a Pokemon since the beginning of April. He hasn't grown magic powers in the space of a fortnight, somehow Neuralinking with Gabriel and picking up all of his skills. But a lot of Arsenal minds have changed about him for the better recently, that's for sure. Arsenal have still never lost a game where Jakub Kiwior started the match. And this is a guy who's been moved around a lot in these starts, starting right centre-back and left-back far more than in his favoured position. So what's orchestrated this shift in public perception? There's a little moment in the Madrid game that perfectly surmises the very best of Kiwior. He picks up the ball in his slot off Saliba and immediately picks his head up. Martinelli spots it and starts running. Jakub delivers a delicate, perfectly weighted, faded pass over the top, which lands exactly where it needed to, and Martinelli latches onto it behind Valverde. Gabby can't quite get the run on him, so plays the ball inside, but Tchouaméni reads it and nicks in here. Tchouaméni tries the ball to Bellingham, but who's there? Kiwior, stepping up, super high, aggressive and early, playing a simple wrong foot pass to Partey, and Arsenal go forward again. Willingness and technical quality to expand the play, ability to read it off the ball, and quality to go over the shoulder against the very best. That is almost everything you want from a top modern centre-back in one play. And he's still only 25 years old. Although, weirdly, he was our oldest defender at the Bernabeu. For me, Kiwior is and has always been one of the best passers at the club from deep in terms of range and invention. Dig out any comp of him playing for Poland, and my word, some of these switches he plays. We don't always play like that, so we don't always see it, but he does have it. And I think because we've seen him out of position so much, while many others at the club are so freakishly versatile, and he isn't maybe quite so, we maybe underrate him where he is best, in the heart of that defence. He has his flaws, sure. I think he can feel rushed when pressed, and I still don't absolutely love him when he goes out into wide areas. Ipswich's Hurst getting the run on him a few times when he was pulled out wide at the weekend. I think he can get caught a little narrow, but keep him central, and you see his level. And physically, I think he's changed. He looks much more athletic, much stronger to me. His hips look looser, so he looks able to receive the ball with a bit more fluidity, which helps him build up. But I also think he's worked on his upper body. Take this side by side of an early game for Arsenal in 2023, and now, about 2 years later, To me, his shoulders look rounder, his arms look bigger, and his chest is broader. He won every aerial duel he contested over the 2 legs according to SofaScore, and there's a reason. I've spoken about another one of my issues with Kiwior before, if not on this channel, then certainly publicly somewhere else, and it's this. I have no issue with shy characters. Many of the best footballers are pretty shy off the pitch. Take Ethan Nwaneri, for example. He's a shy guy, but he comes alive on the pitch. But I have felt in the past that Kiwior has allowed his shyness off the pitch to translate onto it. He's maybe let games pass him by a little bit. He's drifted. He's been a bit anonymous. But recently, not so much. He is talking. Across those 2 legs against Madrid, I saw so many instances of Kiwior pointing, talking, directing, demanding his teammates. This didn't feel like a guy ready to let this be anything other than his night, showing his level. He said to Arsenal.com he wasn't nervous because he'd faced Mbappe for the national team and he didn't look it, other than his first few actions in the first leg. But whether he's bluffing or not, your teammates tell you about yourself. And I loved Raya's words before the second leg. I know how good Jakub is. I wasn't surprised he played very well. He shows that every day in training. It was only a matter of time before he showed his quality. This seemingly newfound quality and calm, those chip balls into the channel consistently against Everton, his celebrations against Madrid. I think those concerns I had, maybe not helped by those Rob Holding comments about the Community Shield a while back, are more a thing of the past. And I love to see it. It's my catchphrase at this point. But I love when players prove me wrong. You know why? Because Arsenal win. Where he goes next, who knows? This has certainly put him in the shop window. But maybe all it's proved is just to never write anyone off if they can compete and stay in this group. Maybe nothing orchestrated this shift. We just needed a few sets of 90 minutes to see what was already there. But of course, there's the other side of this coin, where public perception, discourse, whatever you want to call it, shifts the other way. We ready? You might know where this is going. Martin Ødegaard. So you hate Martin Ødegaard. Just say you hate Arsenal Football Club, mate. Just say it. This targeted harassment of our captain is unacceptable. I'm unsubscribing. I'm not going to be able to stop the extreme opinions on this either way. But I'm going to make one plea. Please listen to the entirety of the following section on Ødegaard before you tell me how wrong I am in the comments. If you disagree, absolutely no problem at all. Put it down below and let's have a debate. But please address the points that I'm actually making, not some points you made up in your head and then projected onto me. To win this UEFA Champions League, we need everyone at their very best. And that includes Martin Ødegaard. Martin Ødegaard hasn't had his best season in an Arsenal shirt. I don't think even the biggest Ødegaard lover would disagree with that. After 2 electric seasons for us, picking up the Player of the Year award twice in a row, an ankle injury in September 2024 ruled him out until early December, and he's never quite got going in 24-25, I don't think. Just pure numbers-wise, he's at 14 goals and assists in 2,896 minutes of football this season, making it a goal contribution once every 206 minutes, down from 1 every 176 last year and 1 every 154 in 22-23. Firstly, I do wonder about this ankle injury. There was a post going around on X the other day about what ligament damage in your ankle does to you. I won't repeat it here as I can't verify it, but it is worth reading for a perspective, and it obviously connects it with people 1.4 million views later. Someone far more qualified than me can educate me, but I am open to the idea that some of the performance drop-off is related to long-term issues due to this injury. On a technical level, it alarms me that I don't see Martin able to lock his ankle and generate power through his shot with much consistency on his left foot now, and he looks far easier to knock off the ball at the moment, winning only 39% of his ground duels this season, down from 45% in previous seasons. So, it could all be related. If this is affecting Ødegaard, I'm surprised there hasn't been a club leak about it or a planted question in a press conference so Mikel can address it. Maybe the club don't want there to be a narrative around him. They don't want clubs targeting him. But if we hear about surgery this summer, a lot of this season will make a lot more sense to me. Before we look at what's gone wrong, what's gone right? Because there's plenty that has. Our press has been brilliant all year, and our off-the-ball work, as exemplified in that Madrid game, has been stellar. One of the ways we beat them was by collapsing our shape in and out of possession so quickly, fluidly, and consistently, and Ødegaard is a massive part of that. Arguably the biggest factor. Arsenal remain top of the charts for a whole host of defensive stats in all competitions more broadly, and his contribution has been huge. As our leader, he always sets an example. For example, after Saka misses that penalty, there's massive soft factors he provides in terms of speaking, encouraging, and giving to those around him, which shouldn't go unnoticed. And build-up-wise, Ødegaard's availability and reliability in terms of dropping in and being that outball is superb for a guy who is on paper an attacking midfielder. His stamina and awareness to drop in and out of the block and progress is just extraordinary. Despite missing months of football and playing without Saka and White for large stretches, Ødegaard still has Arsenal's most chances created in the league according to StatMuse, one above Rice with 500 less minutes played and 10 big chances created, putting him tied in third for Arsenal with Leandro Trossard. Some of the drop-off chat has been overblown, and players are allowed to have bad seasons. This happens. But we also need to look calmly and fairly at what's gone wrong. Because yes, we have stat packs, but we also have eyes. I was really frustrated with him in the second leg of that Madrid game, especially in the first half. He gave a number of balls away, attacks were breaking down at his feet, and he looked weak to me, losing the duel too many times. In terms of a captain's performance away at the Bernabeu, that wasn't it, especially in the first half. One of my biggest frustrations on the night was his usage of space, which slowed us in the final third. So many times he played that ball out to Saka, but then just stopped in the pocket, clogging the space. In this situation, Saka can't pass to him really, nor has Martin created any space inside or an option with his running. You have to make yourself available, and it felt like hiding, waiting for someone else to make the decision at times. The Madrid game is one example, but his final play third has felt laboured, poorly executed, and again weak at too many points this season, consistently shying away from contact, not playing forward, dropping off to recycle. If you're not going to pass forward, you have to run off the ball. If you're not going to run off the ball, then I need you to win your duel. If you're not going to win your duel, don't delay your next pass. Pass early. If you're not going to carry through bodies, go over the top. It's felt like he's picked the wrong option a lot of times this season. In transition, his current role doesn't work for me. It doesn't feel like a coincidence that with both of the two transitional goals we scored recently, Partey against Brentford and Trossard against Everton, Ødegaard wasn't on the pitch for either of them. He doesn't need to be that guy, carrying us through space like Rice, but so often he receives that first pass, and his first instinct is to reset us into shape. Maybe he doesn't have the athletic capacity to carry us, no problem, but we're leaving goals on the pitch by this desire to reshape, reset, and go again. You know exactly what I'm about to reference if you're a die-hard knocker, but this graph is no mistake. His decision-making as a leader leans us into recycle, retain, just that fraction too much. Also, in terms of his shots, not only does his technique frustrate me, as mentioned earlier, but also his delaying. This moment really frustrated me against Ipswich. Receiving in a great position with an open lane in the second half. You're in position. Just take the shot. He delays and delays a lot in these areas. And his one-footedness causes him issues because defenders know where he's going. He telegraphs where he's going to shoot because of his angle bias. How often does he not get his pocket nicked when he enters crowded areas in here? Not enough for the amount of touches he gets in there, I don't think. And maybe that's not his game. I hear some of you cry. He's not had Saka and White around him. That is hard. He said himself he knows it's not been his best year. There may be injury issues. Hey, he's had a kid. Chuck that one in. We want more thrust in this team, by which we mean transition quality, more shots, more pace. Is it fair to ask Ødegaard to do that? Maybe not. But if you are limited, if you can't create threat in isolation in a way a Saka might be able to, and if you can't influence the play in all areas of the pitch like a Declan Rice, that's fine, but can I build around you? Can you be a guaranteed first name on the team sheet if you do have those limitations? The honest answer, I don't know. Maybe you can convince me I've completely got this wrong in the comments, even though I've presented both sides of the argument. What I really want from Ødegaard is for him to play better, to work through this patch. You know why? Because then Arsenal will win. Let's stop this weird defensiveness on both sides of this debate. We all want Arsenal to win, so let's focus on that. It feels like perception has changed very quickly with Ødegaard, considering the credit he'd built up, especially online, although that's not always the best barometer. But that means it can change quickly again. He had a great game against Ipswich, one of his best this season. 2 or 3 more of those, the narrative flips. You know it will. That's football. That's why we love it. With Kiwior, with Ødegaard, with this season as a whole. That's football. And that leads us back to our initial question. How do we do it? How do we, 3 games from glory, get over that line? We'll come to the specifics of PSG and more in future videos. For now, I just want to focus on one thing. We haven't actually been here before. All our eggs in one European-shaped basket, completely done in the league. We're in unknown territory. In both of the previous 2 seasons, it was the opposite. We were there or thereabouts basically till the end of the domestic campaign, but had no European campaign to keep fighting for. This season, the club is on an unfamiliar knife edge. So maybe the most relevant how do we do it question for Arteta is this. What do we do in the Premier League to support our Champions League ambitions? In this unique position, how do we leverage the Premier League to our advantage? You look confused. Oh, sorry. So the Premier League is this league and 5 games remain at home. Palace on Wednesday, Bournemouth on the 3rd of May, Anfield on the 11th of May, home to Newcastle on the 18th, and the season wraps up away at St Mary's, hopefully sticking 12 past Aaron Ramsdale, respectfully. Love you, Rambo. On the 25th. The first leg at home against PSG slots in on the 29th of April, luckily after no weekend fixture due to Palace's FA Cup involvement. The second leg is the 7th of May, and the Champions League final will be 6 days after the final league game on the 31st of May. Speak it into existence. How do we keep up our intensity in the Premier League knowing the real prize is in Europe? How do we stay focused on retaining second, winning as many games as we can, knowing where the real task is? We're 3 games from glory, but we actually have to play 8. Possibly, this is a time to experiment. Martinelli at centre-forward has long been touted as an idea. Enquiries could be given a run of games. Many have long awaited Miles in the midfield, which we saw briefly. What about Declan with more time at 6? What about Bukayo Saka further inside? Calafiori at centre-forward? No ideas about idea? Possibly this is a time to be super careful with our minutes. How much Premier League football exactly does a Bukayo Saka need to play in order to keep ticking him over? Might we have to wrap him, but also Rice, Miles, Timber, Saliba, Martinelli and so on in cotton wool in this period? We can't risk another injury before such important games. Not another hamstring strain in this dreaded season.
Not another one?
But what if we need to learn the lessons we've spoken about today? Look at this season and realise what it's teaching us. Arteta's comments post-quarterfinal really made me laugh. The guy just beat Real Madrid, the reigning European champions, 5-1 over 2 legs and 2-1 at the Bernabeu, and he's sat there talking about how we can improve and get better. The guy is a madman, but he's always been like this. This is how we got where we are. This relentless desire to get better at every opportunity, draw, lose, or win comfortably. That's where it all comes from. And I think it teaches us something about how to approach this. Just keep turning up and doing our thing. Perception will change, things go up and down, but that's all we can control. The best preparation for the business end of this competition is just to keep winning football matches. Keep playing with intensity. Don't take our foot off the gas. Keep preparing the body, keep training the muscles and the mind, stay at the highest level of competition for another month and a few weeks, and then it's summer. I'm not suggesting some kamikaze approach where we play through the red zone. Maybe there can be some precautions taken here and there, maybe even a touch of experimentation. But when the biggest prize in football is 3 games away, the best thing to do is keep going through the reps. This team hasn't changed. It's the same group of players. They were always capable of being in this position despite outside noise. The game model, the players, the Arsenal way, it was always capable because we've turned up every day. We've eaten well, we've trained well, we've played a brilliant, controlled, dominant style of football. We've seen the ceiling of this team at points before, even this season. We have always been capable. All that's changed is that outside perspective. And if things can change so quickly, as has been proven so many times this year, then all we can do is control what we can control. Sorry to sound like Mikel, but he's right. Game by game, training session by training session, better and better. Don't get too high with the high. Don't get too low with the lows. That's the lesson with Kiwior. That's the lesson with Ødegaard. For now, the focus is just that next training session and beating Crystal Palace. And if we're listening, there's a lesson for us all here as well. Thanks so much for watching. If you like The Different Knock, you can support us on Patreon and get ad-free early access to each video for just £3 a month. Or for one-time support, you can buy us a coffee. Links are in the description.